Neutral spine, what is it? Well, it's where your back has its best curves. And this can help you have the best standing posture, which is going to improve your back strength, your deep core strength, your pelvic floor strength, and minimize joint and muscle strain. So there are a few strategies that we can go over together to help you find your best neutral spine. Now, standing up, we're going to figure out where our feet should be first. Well, our feet are ideally underneath our hip bones. They're not really wide like this or like this. Also, we would like them to be fairly straightforward, maybe a little bit turned out, but not too much like this. Also, not sitting inwards. Then, our weight should be equally on each foot, and it should be on the tripod of the foot, which means the center of the heel, between the first and second toe, and between the fourth and fifth toe. So it's like a little tripod that you could be standing on. And this helps to improve your arch strength. So we're standing, we've got our equal weight bear on each side. Now, a lot of my clients will bend their knees. So they'll be standing with their knees bent. And what happens is they actually can get tight in their hip flexors and then put quite a bit of load into their knees. Now, it seems maybe counterintuitive, but what we can do is straighten our knees and then just come off that back position of the knees by 1 or 2 centimeters. So we're still standing in a straight leg position without bending our knees too much and getting tight in other areas. Now facing forward again, we want to also make sure that we're not standing like this when we're talking to people. Again, ideally we're standing with our feet underneath us and equal weight bear. That's because there's quite a bit of shearing forces in this one joint now on the one side, or if we stand like this with the knee bent, there's quite a bit of wiggle through our spine. So it's fine to move about and change your position, but then we come back to our standing posture and make sure that we're evenly weight bearing through our feet. Now, going sideways again, we want to make sure that we are not swaying our hips too far forward. I see this a lot, especially when people have their legs far apart and their arms crossed. They'll often stand like this. So when we take our feet closer and underneath our hip bones, it's actually harder to move our hips forward. So keeping our feet underneath us. The next thing we're going to figure out is our lumbar spine. We don't want to be too gripped in our glutes. It makes it tight and also can create quite a bit of tension in your low back, create compression and discomfort. So I ask my clients to bend their knees gently, okay, have a little wiggle, bend your knees, then you're going to just gently straighten them out and make sure you have a little curve in the front of your hip bones. So again, straighten the knees, bend your knees and make sure your body's upright. So you're not leaning forward, you're not leaning back, you're as though you're going down a wall. Then we're going to straighten up, keeping the curve in the front of your hips. And this will give you your lumbar curve. So you're not too arched, you're not too flattened, you're in your correct lumbar curve position. Next, we're heading up. I call this the bus shelf. So we don't want to be too far back with our thoracic spine, so our rib cage, where we're tucking here and then we go out of our abdominal control. We want to have our rib cage stacked vertically on top of our pelvis. So people say, well, how do I find that? It's kind of confusing. So I talk about the bus shelf. And so we don't want that bus shelf to be tipped down, nor do we want it tipped up. We want it straight across. So that bra line goes straight across. And that will really help you not be too tilted and keep your rib cage nicely on top of your pelvis. Now, going up again, we're going to talk about the head posture. So when we have our legs far apart and our hips thrust forward, we can really have to change our head posture, or the other way is when we're too extended in our chest and we're lifting up too much, our head gets thrown back and we get a lot of tension in the front of our neck. So finding that nice neutral spine posture again, we're going to make sure that our chin is on its, what I call its chin shelf. So you can just put your hand underneath your chin, allow your head to just gently drop down onto your chin or onto your hand, and keep the back of the neck muscles here nice and relaxed. That way our eyes are going straight forward, same with our nose, and it keeps our little muscles at the back, our little occipital muscles, keeps them long and lengthened. One of the exercises I don't really like too much is where people will pull back their chin like this. It creates a lot of flattening of our natural curves in our cervical spine. We should have curves in our neck here. We're not supposed to be straight up and down, nor should our spine be straight up and down. We're supposed to have curves. Cervical curve, a thoracic curve, a lumbar curve, a sacral curve. We're supposed to have these curves, and each person has their own unique curves, but we all have pretty well the same way. Some of us have scoliosis or a little curve in our back. Nonetheless, we're going to try and stand in your best posture. So another piece is sometimes our arms are too far forward. They're hanging too far forward. So let's open up the collarbones. We don't pull the shoulders back. We imagine that our shoulders are like a hanger. So they're coming across and they're opening out to the side. They're not forward and they're not back. So let's review. Feet under the pelvis, under these hip bones here, not here. Equal weight bear. Find your tripod. You can even lift your toes up to try and feel what it feels like to be on the tripod of your feet. Next, soften the knees, find your neutral spine, and then when you straighten your knees, go all the way to the back and then come just off about 1 centimeter or 2 so that you're in your nice leg position, not too bent and not way back in your potential hyperextension of the knee, some of us, or right at the back of the knee joint. Bending them, straightening them out, find that nice little position just off the end. Keeping your neutral curve in your low back, then find your bust shelf, make sure that it's nicely straight across. Open up those shoulders like they're being pulled across. Find your head position, drop it down so it's resting on your hand. Take your hand away, and there is a more stacked position for your spine. See whether you can give some of those strategies a try, and you can find your best standing neutral posture. Thanks, and until the next video.